I just got back in from the final day of my sporting event, and I know I'm too late to stream today's Apex matches live. But as I promised yesterday, my plan is to pop on and look over a couple of replays of the matches. Since there are a couple matches that I was interested in checking out, didn't want to miss them completely, so might as well watch via the replay functionality. So I am going to just load up the old Apex Arena screen. I'm actually going to be watching these on Free Kong account because main Kong account is busy dutifully grinding Anarchies. And I'm keeping this Sophia title card up for a couple minutes because when I first load up the first match I want to watch, I want it to be a little bit of a surprise in case you haven't been checking the results to see who wins or who loses. It'll be a surprise for me too. I didn't get a chance to watch any of these matches yet. Small is already betting $1 on Tristan. Yeah, Tristan is the match that we're going to watch first. And then after Tristan's match, I'll go through the rest of the brackets and look at the rest of the results so we can see what the groups are going to look like for next weekend. So I will obviously take the title card off for that. But I'm going to load up Tristan's match. And then I'm going to take this Sophia down. Okay. Alright, Sophia, get out of here. So here we are in Game 1 of the top 128, and it's going to be Tristan versus 1 unit arena defense. So we'll call this person 1 unit for short. So we'll just start zipping through the pick ban. The box, Tristan's box is very similar to what he was using yesterday. 1 unit has a Landius, a Hilda, a Jugler for tanks, and Florentia, Liana, Rosenseal with also potential backup healer in Licorice. And we see pretty good looking debuffing box here with Licorice, Reen, Bernhardt, Functional, Himiko, Kruger, obviously. So yeah, this is a very solid, well-rounded meta box. So 1 unit, of course, bans out the Rosenseal first. And Tristan decides to ban Kruger first. So I guess without the Rosenseal there, he definitely doesn't want to, or he wants to narrow down the number of debuff units he's going to have to face. And he first picks Hilda. 1 unit banning out one of Tristan's healers. So that is to force Tristan to pick a healer next. And they get Hilda as well. So Tristan goes with Florentia as his healer of choice. And 1 unit early picking a Himiko here. Tristan getting burn out, so we're seeing a solid Empire team forming up. By the way, thanks for the follow while I was offline, Phil Elf. Good to see you in there. 1 unit also getting a Jugler, so they're going to have 2 tanks with the possibility of a shutdown from Jugler to get Hilda not tanking and have someone else come in and kill one of these units. Okay, and 1 unit is leaving Tristan with either a Landius or an Ultimuller. It seems fairly obvious it's going to be an Ultimuller pick here with such a strong Empire core. Always nice to have Ultimuller being buffed by Bernhardt, not have to worry about bringing his own buff. So yeah, we get Ultimuller. And I think this has got to be an Elwyn pick for 1 unit, otherwise they end up running 3 tanks and a healer and a Himiko. So even though the Elwyn DPS is not going to be super effective against Hilda, you want to have some kind of DPS in there. Alright, so let's see how Game 1 plays out. One thing about replays is that the you don't get to see the actual pace of the match as it happened, so you can't see the the long pauses while the players think. So things can unfold fairly quickly, so we're going to have to pay close attention. Tristan just using the arc slash to get the bonus from Reen using a skill. Everyone pretty much just moving into formation on this turn. Oh, and catching a breeze on Ultimuller right to start. Let's take a look at these teams. So we have a Shield Bash Burn, probably to deal with Himiko. Oh, we also have Rout on Hilda. Since she doesn't need to bring her own faction buff thanks to Bernhardt, she has the freedom to bring whatever third skill. So, looking like another stun. Standard Reen, and yeah, Ultimuller didn't need to bring his faction buff. So he now has 8 mobility, look at that, and he has his Big Suck and 3C. One unit does bring the faction buff. Oh, brings Sealing Technique on Himiko rather than the push. And that's probably as a result of Hilda preventing displacement. So fairly standard loadouts for both of these teams. Aggressively moving into position and giving Himiko the opportunity to hit 3 of his characters with her 3C. So that is the opening. Now that has the potential to... Oh, and getting Act again on Himiko. So one unit is going to be aggressively leaning on Himiko to win this match. Tristan also getting an Act again on Reen. So probably to get a big area attack off. And he's going to use it. Okay, he's using Reen's 3C on only Himiko. So Burn can't use skills this turn because of Himiko's Sealing Technique. So Tristan is using Reen really aggressively to just hammer Himiko with AoEs, and she's heal blocked as well. Or heal reversed. Okay, Tristan is again gonna use Ulti's Big Suck just on Himiko, so he's really unloading all the cannons, attempting to get rid of that Himiko with his AoEs. Florentia not able to heal Himiko up with her 3C. Brings Jugler in, but is not able to get in behind Hilda. And this 3C should kill Himiko. Yeah, so that Himiko's down. The rest of Tristan's team gets some healing. Tristan looking in pretty good shape right now. Okay, getting the Act again on Burn. Now this Elwyn shouldn't do too much damage to Hilda, other than potentially dispelling her guard, the 5 buff strips. I didn't look before to see how many buffs she had. Okay, so it looks like Hilda is not guarding right now. And one unit has turn priority, so after Tristan uses Burn, then one unit could essentially use Elwyn to come around and take out this Florentia, fully healing Elwyn. Yeah. Oh, unless he kills Elwyn with Bernhardt's Overlord fixed damage. It's a Bracer Elwyn, so he's immune to the Rupture. Oh, what? 96 hit points left. So the Bracer saved Elwyn there. He did still get hit with the Empire, the big burst after a normal attack from Burn, but he had enough hit points to survive it. So that is pretty... Elwyn can now, with Hilda not guarding, Elwyn can now choose to come around and try to kill this Bernhardt. I don't know if that's a sure thing because werewolves are just so beefy. But this Florentia's a sitting duck now. Oh, for some reason, one unit, though, is going for the Ultimuller, who is passively guarded by Hilda. So Tristan bashing Jugler. That's going to waste his turn. It's also going to open Elwyn up to be killed. Oh, I think one unit made a mistake by going after Ultimuller there. They probably didn't realize... Well, they should have realized that the Hilda was still passively guarding. Just from being adjacent. Okay, Reen blasting out another one of those arc slashes, and now he's come out of his transformation. Oh, Tristan comes back down and re-stuns Jugler with Hilda. But Ultimuller is not able to kill Elwyn with that. Oh, he's getting his second follow-up attack because he used his 3C with 2 characters around him. So he does manage to get rid of that Elwyn and then bring Hilda back into position to guard. So one unit's only weapons now are these 2 tanks and Florentia a healer. With Tristan having his whole team, I really don't see how one unit can get through this. Tristan healing up. I think the only way one unit can win here is by blocking Tristan in the fog with 2 tanks. But yeah, Reen and Burn are both able to do lots of damage to this Hilda, so I don't think one unit can outlast Tristan. Okay, there's Hilda's first life. Burn showing just how capable a Hilda killer he is. Okay. That looks like it's going to be game 1 in the books in favor of Tristan, unless something goes disastrously wrong here. Yeah, so Hilda's completely gone. One unit is not going to have any way of blocking Tristan out in the fog now with just 2 units. They'll easily be able to tag team Jugler, which I think we're going to see beginning here now with Bernhardt getting an act again. Oh yeah, no chance. Okay. So that'll be game 1 to Tristan. One unit hanging in there as stubbornly as possible. But Tristan with the bash. That's going to kill Jugler. And then his whole team against one poor, lonely, unguarded Florentia. This is official. One unit possibly hoping for the disconnection debuff on Tristan at the end there. Okay, so moving on to game 2. No box adjustments from either player. And Tristan opening with first ban Kruger again. I guess he figured that worked well enough for him in the last game. This time one unit opting to get rid of Tristan's Hilda because she was enough of a thorn in their side in game 1. That does leave Rosenseal as an option for Tristan in case one unit looks like they're going to go with the debuff team. And they're getting a Hilda themselves. Tristan opts to go with his Landius as his tank since Hilda's not available. Tristan obviously likes having a spiky tank to lead with. Both opting to get rid of Rosenseal and Bernhardt next. Okay, so one unit going with the Tiny Jessica. Landius can be a capable defender against Tiny Jessica. He takes reduce range damage. And he has his revive. So Tristan getting Reen out early. One unit still has Jugler available, so even though Rosen Seal is off the table, an AoE plan still has some capability of being countered over here. Okay, so Helena. And Tristan secures a healer. He's not going to get his healer's band out. Okay, one unit goes for Licorice, leaving 2 tanks and 2 healers for the last pick. Now that may be to tempt Tristan to ban both healers, thinking that he's banned out all potential healing, but that would leave Jugler up, which is a fairly good counter against the AoE from Reen, as well as some of the AoE that's still left in Tristan's box here, like a Bozil or Jugler. So it's possible that Tristan bans Jugler and then one of the healers. Personally, I'd probably ban Jugler and then maybe Leanna, just because she has better debuff removal. But Florentia would also be a fine pick because she does have a buff in this box, so we'll see what Tristan opts for. Oh, he does go for the 2 healers, so one unit is probably going to end up picking Jugler here, especially now that Bozil's out, to counter these big AoEs. Not fully counter them, but at least get some healing. Yeah, so Jugler comes out. And on Tristan's side, Jugler looks like a decent pick also. Okay, so game 2 commence. One unit starting things off here. Let's pause and take a quick look at these units. So we have a fairly standard T-Jess, we have Jugler with Werewolves, we have a fairly standard Licorice with Mass Heal since she is the only healer. Okay, we have Hilda with Ram. And we have a standard Helena with Angels. Bozil only has 1 AoE. Okay, and he's brought Sleep as well. Standard Landius and Jugler with Lobsters. Potentially to protect him against a Twilight Star spike from T-Jess. Reen's back. We saw him in game 1. And Leanna with Bishops again. We noticed this yesterday that Tristan tends to play bishops on his Leanna rather than Shrine Maidens. That's interesting. Maybe it's just a solo healer thing. He doesn't trust her to be able to heal up enough, so he gets the extra healing from the bishops. Okay. Or I guess because he has 2 tanks, he's not expecting Leanna to take any hits. So one unit already moving aggressively into position with Helena. Alright, and Licorice using Mass Heal right at the start to splash some tiles down. I think this pick ban looks a little bit more even than the first one. Both sides have fairly good compositions. The only thing I'm a little shaky about, I mean, they both have 2 tanks, which is great. Licorice and Helena, good AoE-ish options. I guess it'll depend. It's going to be hard for either team to get through the tanks. They're going to kind of have to hope for AoE to do the job. T-Jess is a good weapon here, but it's probably going to take a 1-2 punch for her to get through either of these tanks. We may see a slugfest. We may see a slugfest in the middle with each team trying to out-AoE the other team. Yeah, I can see this game I can see this game lasting a long time with these two teams. So jockeying for position now. Oh, one unit wasting no time to jump with Jugler. Okay, jump in place. So that's going to be a teleport play. Teleporting Jugler. Oh, normally you do that pre-jump play to teleport your Jugler directly onto a tank so that T-Jess can then kill an unguarded. That's interesting. So she does take a life. Hang on. Hang on. She took a life off Landius, but... Maybe her plan was to take the life off Landius, but then I don't know why you need to pre-jump Jugler and then teleport him in. Okay, but then what? Then Tristan, instead of healing Landius, Tristan uses Act again on Landius. So Helena's coming in now. I mean, I guess the Act again did passively heal Landius just from Leanna's talent. Did he just wait? Alright, so Reen is using his 3C. Landius didn't do anything there, did he? Yeah, he already had guard, he already had faction buff. I think Tristan used Act again on Landius by mistake, and then he just sat. I mean, as player 2, it doesn't really matter because it doesn't ruin turn priority for him. He doesn't have turn priority anyway, but that is a weapon out of his arsenal. Like, he was going to want to use Act again in a more strategic time. So if that was a misclick or a mistake, that could cost him. So T-Jess is able to finish off the Landius. Both lives of Landius gone. Jugler splashing now, presumably to put up his magic guard. So Reen with another AoE. Jugler here is heal reversed. Helena's going to make a play at this Jugler. Doesn't put too much of a dent in it, but that is going to break his rights. So T-Jess might be able to target this Jugler next turn. Okay, so Tristan sleeps Jugler. The mass heal may be an attempt to remove the sleep, but it doesn't work, and it actually just hurts Jugler because he was heal reversed. Alright, so now Bozel gets his big AoE off over here. Continuing to chip away at this Jugler. Licorice using her 3C, blasting Tristan's whole team. Oh, but Tristan comes in with Beast Shock. Okay, and he is able to kill one unit's Jugler with his Beast Shock. Yep, that's a good point, Marcelo. It was to shut down Reen from coming in and AoEing the whole team. Yep, that's a good eye. So Tristan's Jugler hanging on now. Leanna coming in to try to heal him back up and get rights up. But it looks like Jugler hanging at 90%, and then Helena's putting some more damage on him. So at this point, one unit is attempting to wear down Tristan's Jugler so that Tiny Jess can finish him off. Without a tank, Tristan will be in trouble. Hey Wenhao Wu, thanks for joining the stream. Alright, Helena falling back, T-Jess heal reversal from Reen's AoE, so Tristan putting the pressure on now. And T-Jess was just hurt enough that she wasn't able to finish off that injured Jugler. That is going to be a problem for one unit. Oh, and Tristan is able to move his Bozel and finish off that T-Jess. Now, Bozel is of course out of guard range now. And with the Ram, Jugler can only barely move back in. So Reen and Bozal are both not being guarded. One unit has turn priority, so this Helena, I don't think she can finish off a full health bulky Reen with full health Highland Warriors, so I think the play has to be to finish off this Bozal. I think at the start of the match I mentioned, because Tristan also had Landius tanking, I think he went with Lobsters instead of Wolves to prevent Tiny Jess's Twilight Star from breaking his last rites. If he has mixed troops, then Tiny Jess could break his last rites with Twilight Star and then burn through the werewolves with one of her, maybe her 1C anti-demon spell. So I think that's what that was for. I think it was to prevent last rites from going down. I think we're going to see a dead Bozal here. Hopefully one unit doesn't try to go for the Reen. Okay, yeah. Securing the Bozal kill, using Shiv up here to get the debuff on as many of Tristan's players as possible. And Tristan prayering up, so everyone is fairly healthy. One unit does not... Well, one unit has Helena, who has been proving fairly capable DPS. Licorice is also always dangerous. Tristan out with the 3C again. And he clocks it. Tristan is having great clock luck on Reen. It looks like, yep, we're starting to enter the fog battle phase of this battle. Tristan needs to be really careful not to get blocked out. Okay, Reen survives this initial hit. Bloodthirsty proc. Petal Storm proc. Oh, and there wasn't another Blood Sword proc on that very last hit. Oh, we have to see how many hit points he had left. $50 hit points. Oh my. Tristan's luck has been phenomenal in this match. So Helena hits him with the big spike. Gets her petal proc, gets a blood sword, gets the other petal, and then the final blood sword. The final blood sword doesn't go off, letting Reen survive. Wow. Okay, and then Leanna comes in and heals him back up. That one has to really hurt one unit. Getting rid of Reen there would have been a real difference maker. Especially since we know that Reen just clocked his 3C. Oh, Licorice kind of resigning herself to her fate here. Tristan's Jugler and Leanna are both in. It looks like there's going to have to be some creative movement or maybe a mistake on Tristan's part for one unit to get this Hilda back in now, though. So maybe one unit moves the Helena and can get Hilda back in down here. So we got another Arc Slash, and that's going to be it for Licorice. Hilda's going to have to give up her first life trying to walk around on the fog. So she's dead. First life comes back. Act again on Reen. Okay, and he tries to come down. That's both for the block, but I think he was also hoping to be able to kill her. Now, one unit is ahead on damage by 30,000 damage. So if Tristan's not able to finish this team off, then it's certainly possible. What turn are we on? Oh, wow. Okay, so he blocks the Hilda out. We're on turn 10. So Tristan is going to need to make up 40,000 damage in 2 turns or kill this Helena in 2 turns. Now, he obviously has the weapons to do it, as he's outnumbering her, but Helena can be surprisingly, deceptively tanky when she's on her tiles, and she's always on her tiles. So let's see how this goes. Tristan getting Jugler back into shape. So Helena comes through, gets a Shiv splash debuff off on Tristan's whole team. Petal Storm building up more of a damage lead. And she is doing more damage to Jugler in those exchanges as well. Okay, Reen transforming. And Prayer. So Tristan taking one of his 2 remaining turns to get his team set up. Okay, and we have a Beast Shot coming. Is that going to kill? It is going to kill. Okay, so Tristan was able to finish off Helena right under the wire. If that was an attrition match, he would have been toast. And Tristan takes this match 2-0. Tristan helped along by some great clock luck, and also Reen surviving with 50 hit points at the end against the Helena. Especially after that weird act again on Landius that kind of cost him his tank. So a little bit of give and take there from Tristan. Alright, so congrats to Tristan on winning his 2nd match of these playoffs. And I believe that's Tristan's first time in the top 64. So yeah, we have a few 256. Last season he was in the top 128, and this is going to be his first season in the top 64. So let's go through the brackets and see what some of the other results were. Tristan is going to be facing off against 2021, who is a seasoned Apex competitor, a seasoned PvP player. So Tristan definitely has his work cut out for him next weekend. That'll be an interesting match. I'm actually on vacation that weekend, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to stream or not. I may bring a little mini streaming rig home just so we can follow some of these matches. Let's go through the groups one by one. And, oh, do you like my Free Kong final standing? Free Kong did 1 match after the qualifiers. So, yeah, very proud of that Bronze 3. Maybe in a future season I'll do a little bit better with my freebies. Hey, Absol, thanks for joining the stream. I think we're probably going to see your name come up here in a second. I'm just going through the groups to check out who the winners were and what the matchups are going to be. Oh, so Luxid Crossley. Last season's champion. Eliminated. By Sewell. So, okay, this is a relatively newer-ish account. Last season... Oh, no, that's this season. So, yeah, this is a first time in the playoffs account that beat Luxid. Someone out there knows who is playing this account, I think. Let's see here. Okay, so Nitro eliminated by Snowman, so that's Nitro out. So Dark Knight, who's a recent competitor in the Summit der Langrisser, still in. Will be facing My Arrows back. Oh, there's Absol. So Absol, you won your match. So Sewell is a newish, I mean 3 seasons new player on the newest server, playing his own account and beat Luxid. That's impressive. Very nice. Absol, first time in the top 64. Congratulations. You had to beat True God to get there, and it looks like you're going to be up against Fake KK next. Fake KK, I don't know. Maybe you've done your research and you know who this player is already, but I'm not doing research live on the air on these name change characters. Okay, so next we have Sui versus Miyoko, the player who defeated my guildmate Junny, also advanced, so he's going to have a very difficult match next weekend. And Z808 advanced. I think he defeated Cavan. So Z808 representing the strategy squad, still in it, against Kaze. So we watched one of Kaze's matches yesterday, and it looks like he won again today. So he'll be in against a strategist next weekend. So that'll actually be a really interesting match to watch as well. So congrats to both of those guys. Congrats to both of those guys. Group E. Yank advanced. I know he's in Tristan's guild. And Zelda M advanced. So that'll be another good match as well. Tenacious Rope is out. Meow Sensei eliminated. So Concede defeated Meow Sensei. Congrats to Concede. Actually, yeah, okay, so Concede is playing Weaver next weekend. Group F, we have Testarossa. And, oh, my last remaining guildmate, Baikan Fu, was eliminated by Mirror, so that means no more Wings of War in the playoffs this season. Single tier. And Eggtang advances as well, defeating Brogio, I believe. Group G, we have Santachai, who defeated Lee-Man, and he'll be playing Deader Than Dead, so that'll actually be a really good match to watch. Kenji Moyo, another streamer who's still in it. It looks like Kenji Moyo defeated Boomerang in a battle of the streamers. And Newbie defeated Kutaru, so Newbie versus Kenji Moyo, sorry, next weekend. Group H, Yi Chao advanced, and Zod K, who defeated another of my guildmates, also advanced. So it looks like my guildmates at least got eliminated by people who are going fairly deep in the playoffs. Okay, Winkleman still in. Mikey Likes It still in. I played against Mikey Likes It in the group phase of the Summit Dare Langrisser, and he beat me as well, so I don't feel so bad about that now. One of the Langstons, not sure if this is the real Langston. Okay, it looks like Whir defeated Fresh Prince. And after beating Manson yesterday, Evolution got eliminated by Spearhead. Okay, and Pete defeated Jukerlaw. And it looks like Zanson won his match as well against Pay the Toll, so Zanson is going to be still alive in the top 64. Zanson, scary this year. And the Lord Thy God defeated Q. So that would have been, actually, maybe we should watch this match, because Q is a really seasoned, I assume this is the real Q account. Yeah, so he was top 4 last year, or last season. He's a very experienced PvP player, and he streams a lot of PvP as well, especially for the Summit Dare Langrisser. Yeah, Q defeated Air yesterday, and then Q versus Lord Thy God. Lord Thy God is another very strong PvP player. Maybe we'll come back to that one. So that is in Group L. L for Lord, let's remember that. So then Cecil H, who is an Art Squad member who defeated Fjarler yesterday. It looks like he is advancing to fight Nier. And Michuzak is out. Bakira also out. Never still in it. Okay, this is the one we just watched. So Tristan advanced from his corner, and he's going to have to face 2021. I think it would have been either 2021 or Lowly Devastator, who are both difficult opponents. So yeah, Tristan has his work cut out for him next weekend. And on the other side, Marby and Winter Essence. Okay, and the final group, Duncan McCormick advanced, Wing Kuribo advanced, And Will underscore advanced as well. So Will is still in it. He's a friend of the channel. He contributed a video for Should You Summon Young Jessica. Good, long, in-depth video on Young Jessica from Will. Okay, so let's go back, while we have time, let's go back and look at this Q versus Lord Thy God match. I'm quite interested in this one. And then after that, I'm going to have to go and carb load like crazy. I think I have a pizza on the way, and I don't want to be eating my pizza live on the air, so... let's see what we got here. Lord Thy God has the exact kind of box I hate facing. He is using 3 tanks, so he has Cav Landius in his box. He has the 3 meta healers. Okay. And Q with a Leonhard in the box. Kind of an Empire-leaning box here. Werner as well, Altemuller, Leon. Auto Run, I believe, was eliminated by Zanson in the first round. But we're going to get to see some Free Kong Lushyrus Gate guild chatter on stream. So, hi Kupo, say hello to everyone, Kupo. Lord Thy God losing Hilda and opting to get Jugler out rather than his Landius. And Q first picking Himiko. Interesting. Q also getting Tiny Jess. So clearly looking for a fairly aggressive approach to facing Lord's box. Lord goes ahead and makes sure that he gets the real tanks out of the way. Q picking Altemuller now. Altemuller does have potential to tank, but I don't think that's the approach he's going for. I think he's going to be using Altemuller as more of an Altemuller. And we will be just quickly banning this spammer. Bye, spammer. Gonna need to get a mod soon, aren't I? Okay, Lord gets Kruger. And Q going both tankless and healerless. Which is a really ballsy play against a team that has some big AoEs. Like we have Jugler Splash, Bernhardt, potential Sword Dance, Kruger with lots of big AoEs, Licorice. Q's going to have to hope that he can pick off some of these threats around that Jugler. Or take out the Jugler, I guess. Let's just watch how this one plays out. Let's take a look at their character setup first. I'm not expecting any surprises. We have Sword Dance with Hoplites. We have full AoE on Licorice. We have Lobsters. And he did bring Great Dragon Barrier instead of Beast Shock. So I guess that's to allow him to tank Tiny Jessica attacks. So Tiny Jessica's not going to be able to snipe units off around the Jugler. We do have a single target move on this Kruger. And then, of course, Gospel on Leanna. 3C Leon over here. Altemuller bringing the strategy buff. And we have Push on Himiko. And Teleport and Strengthen on Tiny Jessica. So everything fairly normal. Nothing too crazy. Tagging Altemuller now. Himiko aggressively moving up into position. Okay, so Lord opting to bide his time now. Back with his group. And Q getting his zoning threats kind of set up to control. You can see the danger zone here, all this area that Q is controlling right now. Plus we also have the potential teleport coming from Tiny Jess. So Leon coming in with a 3C. The real purpose of this 3C is going to be to scramble Lord's team and see if he can get someone out of guard. So it was Leanna out of guard, but she still had her turn available, so she's able to move back in. Q now jumping in for the 3C from Himiko. And that's going to hit the entire team. Spreading some hideous debuffs around. Lord protecting Leanna with Kruger. Oh, and then Kruger ends up getting silenced from that Himiko ninjutsu debuff. So he does get a good attack off on Leon, but he's not able to kill it, and he's not able to cast any of his AoEs. He will splash with Jukler instead. Almost killing Himiko. Oh, but Himiko survives with 2%. T-Jess teleports in. And is able to blast backline Kruger, killing him. Getting some 3C healing off on Himiko. Hopefully that's going to be enough to protect her from the AoEs that are coming. So Burn, with his mobility debuffed, can only move back onto the bridge, and he's silenced as well. So, okay, Bernhardt getting act again. Q still has Werner and Altemuller in the back lines. Alright, we're going to see the big suck. We're getting Jugler, Shielded Leanna, and Licorice. So he's going for Jugler. Okay, and then he uses the extra turn to just bring up his faction buff. Okay. So Lord, with a big sword dance, finishes off Himiko and T-Jess, and that's enough for Q. So he knows that's game there. So we'll move on to the next game. Oh, and we have a bunch of substitutions. Q is bringing in... Oh, wow. Let's take a look at that again. Q is bringing in Deedlit, another healer. Did he boot Leanna? He booted Leanna to bring in these healers. So he brought Mariel in, he brought Reen in as well, so he's going to change up his whole strategy. Lord kept his box intact. Both banning Rosenseal, Q going with the first pick Kruger, and Lord going with first pick Florentia. That's a fairly common first pick to see when the player intends to go with a full strong Empire box, or Empire team deployment. Q bringing Florentia out as well. Okay, and Lord, of course, second pick Bernhardt. Q starting to target some of Lord's Empire threats here. Lord noticing the same thing starting to happen, so he gets rid of Bernhardt too. Lord gets the opportunity to bring out his Empire tank, fourth pick. And Q, it looks like, is happy to go tankless again, so the question is going to be whether he wants Deedlit or Sage. And he does go for Sage. Alright, interesting pick ban. Good. These kinds of comps, for me, well, any tankless or like rush style or full AoE push style, and there's so many styles that really stymie me. Not even my box, just me as a player. I can't wrap my head around how to adequately play against them. So this is a scary box, or this is a scary team. The thing is, Lord does have Hilda, and it's a strong Hilda, so Helena on her own is not a huge threat unless there's a way to use Ultimuller, for example, or Sage. I think Ultimuller's move is a teleport, not a displace, so he is able to teleport units around even with Helena's anti-displacement. Other than that, just relying on debuffs and area, because Lord doesn't have any real anti-area. He doesn't have Jugler, he doesn't have Rosenseal, so it's certainly possible to chip away at him with AoE. Lord should be able to play a more patient game and pick away at Q's units if he gets an opening. Obviously, Q is experienced enough with this kind of team to presumably not give Lord too obvious an opening. So he's going to get himself set up, spread out, and get into position to leap into the action. We're getting an act again on Kruger. T-Jess backing way off to avoid spreading Kruger debuffs around the entire team. Kruger is going to jump in now with a big AoE. So he hits 3 people. Lots of damage. And Lord has to respond right away by using his healer first to get some of that damage healed up and some of those debuffs off. But now, of course, Kruger can just follow up with his other huge AoE, and Lord's team is hurt and debuffed again. So, let's see. Is this Helena going to be able to get through Hilda? We're going to get a lot of Crystal Blasts either way. So there's the first big Crystal Blast. We got some Blood Sword. We got a Petal Storm. Another Blood Sword. Enough to take out 2 of Lord's units. So we have a very injured Bozel, and we have a relatively injured tank. And Tiny Jess as well. Rushing Sage so he can get into the action and get off another AoE. Is this T-Jess going to be able to do anything meaningful? Finish Kruger. He already blew everything that he had. Of course, his cooldowns cycle fairly quickly. So here's the follow-up AoE. Not quite enough to finish Bozel off, but Lord's team is looking very crippled right now. Yeah, and Lord knows it. So he's not climbing back out of that hole, and he's another quick concede. So Lord completely changing up his box, bringing in 4 long leg Empire characters. And it looks like Q is bringing Leanna back up and bringing Lustriel up as well. So Lord now really leaning into the Empire team. Lots of very rush-capable characters here. So changing up the playstyle again. It's something when you see these top players with really good, well-developed boxes who have, like, Apex-ready 15 characters and then another whole side box of 9 characters that can come in at a moment's notice. We'll get there. We'll get there. Just be patient. So Lord banning Hilda first this time as the single target blocking tank of choice. And Q going with Tiny Jess first. So Lord with 2 quite rangy threats already, and his tanks have already been banned out. Unless he plans on using Burn as a tank, which I doubt. So he's really committing to a kind of rush strategy here. He knows that Q hasn't been using tanks, so this is a good adjustment. There is not only an Angelina, but an Angelina deliberately brought up from the side box. It'll be interesting to see if he manages to bring her out. So it's a good strategic adjustment from Lord, knowing that Q hasn't been picking tanks. A really good way to counter that kind of strategy is to have really long leg threats and just kind of spread out and go in, control the map. So we're getting Himiko. And Florentia. So unfortunately no Angelina in action. But Lord with 2 healers, one of them an Act Again healer, 2 long range, potentially single target, potentially AoE attackers, and a Himiko for AoE splashing and annoyance. And Q does get his Kruger out, last pick. So he has T-Jess to teleport around and be annoying. Q has a lot of really offensive weapons here. We know the result already, so let's just sit back and watch this match. Just casually cracking my knuckles on stream. Alright, it looks like Q has set himself up to be able to run Helena in and do some damage here on the first turn. Ultimuller getting an Act Again as well, so that he can readjust his positioning. And here comes Helena. Helena versus Helena. And that tile healing from her unique armor looks like... Is it gonna save her? 1%! Oh, it did save her, wow! That's almost the exact same thing we saw in Tristan's match. The last Blood Sword didn't proc, and then Lord's able to come down here and clean up the Helena, his own Helena surviving with 1% hit points. This is where those double healers are going to come in handy, so Lord really has the upper hand here now. Lord basically just reloading his DPS units. So Kruger is the next threat, and he uses Himiko to silence Kruger, so he can't do anything this turn. Gets a clock on the ceiling technique as well. Alright, Q with turn priority this time. Just waits with Kruger and then gets sealed again and clocked again! Oh, Lord gets another sealing technique ready for next round. Okay, Tiny Jess burns off Himiko's teleport. So Himiko is a viable single target now. And here comes Lord's Helena. He is basically going to have his choice of targets here. Oh, Q did bring Ultimuller as a tank, so that's interesting. And that's a fairly thick Ultimuller as well. Barely a dent in him there, but we are going to get some AoE splashes around here. Okay, and Ares is ready. Gets the Act again, charges in with the single target attack in an attempt to finish off this Ultimuller. Oh, and he finishes him off with the Scarlet Reaper proc. He had 350 hit points left. I mean, this suck would have killed him. Kruger barely hanging on, but Q knows that he can't come back from that. So concedes, and Lord advances to the next round. Some really good matches there. Some real brain benders. Barely any tanks. Interesting. Okay, good matches. That one I might watch again to study kind of what their positioning and band pick looked like. Alright, like I mentioned, I have a pizza on the way. The guy's probably standing on my doorstep right now waiting for me to come out and give him money. So I am going to... We've got Kitten Overlord here complaining about World Arena in the guild chat. I'm going to go and eat my pizza. But we saw a couple interesting matches. We saw Tristan advance to the top 64 for the first time, and we saw a couple crazy matches with Lord Thy God and Q. So yeah, that's going to be it for me, at least until next weekend. I'm on vacation next weekend, so I may or may not have a mini streaming rig to cast a couple of these top 64 matches. If I can't, then I will definitely do some replays and review them when I get back to the studio. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for tuning in this time. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for all your comments in the chat, and I'll catch you next time. Happy Langrissing, everyone.